Hi, Mike DePung here on Spirit Hill again on this Christmas Eve. I know many of you may not celebrate Christmas. You might celebrate some other holiday or no holiday. It's a time going back that's special to me, um, even though the westernized Christianity version of it isn't especially my thing. Um, so what I would like to share before I start, I want to read this third installment of the stories that I had published a couple of years ago. And every time I begin, I think, oh, there's so much I would like to say, so much I would like to share. But I'm not going to do that because even with the other two, I could have said more. I'm going to just let the story speak for itself. It's part of me. I offer it in love. I offer it in the presence of those spiritual unseen energies that care for me and that encourage me. And it's a matter of love. It's a love for myself. And that's perhaps, you want to talk about good feelings at this time of the year. Loving yourself is one of the best feelings you can have, because then that opens all of you to everyone else. So without further ado, here's the third story, and I hope you enjoy it. It's called A Blizzard, Sled, and a Tree, and My Sister Had to Pee. Christmas has always been an emotionally confusing time in some ways. Great excitement, peace, wonder, warmth, and joy are punctuated by frenetic activity, lack of money which detracts from the positives, and running out of time to accomplish everything. This scenario marked the Christmases of my childhood. My parents didn't get things done in a timely fashion, which characteristic has descended upon me. One Christmas that stands out in my memory illustrates one of those times, the Christmas Eve morning when I was 13 and my little sister was 11. I may not have always shown it, but I always cared for my sister. I tried to protect her from the deleterious effects of the alcoholism from which my parents suffered, including making holidays as close to my understanding of normal as I could. When we got up that morning, the snow had been falling hard overnight and continued to do so. It was magical, beautiful, and definitely Christmassy. However, in classic fashion, we did not yet have a Christmas tree. It always seemed like life was out of sync for us. Great Christmas snow and field, but no tree. The news kept referring to blizzard conditions. It was enough for my dad to make the definitive declaration that no tree would be possible. He couldn't even go to work. My mom knew we were upset and tried to explain why it would be like that. I was old enough to understand, and I was old enough to know the procrastination caused by drinking was the real reason, although there was absolutely no way in hell I could have explained it then. At the time, I had a deep feeling of injustice, more from my sister than myself. However, I deserved a tree too. I was angry enough at the injustice to go outside, look around, feel how cold it was, and check the depth of the snow. I marched with hard, angry steps to the basement of that apartment building, dug out the sled, and tromped upstairs, banging the sled outside our door in the apartment stairwell. "Shelley, if I pull you on the sled, will you go with me to get a tree?" She was delighted, excited. My mom, though, was not. "Mikey, you can't go out in this. That's a long way to Ted Drew's tree lot. No, I won't let you go." It may have been one of the first times where I was cognizant of being deliberately defiant. I got the sled out. "I'll take care of Shelley, and I'm using my money to pay for the tree." I had worked for the apartment complex pulling weeds for a couple years by then, and I saved all of my money when I was young. I wouldn't even acknowledge my mom. I guess in some ways, at a subconscious level, guilt was at play. I didn't think about using it, but deep down my mom must have felt guilty, and subconsciously I knew that. My dad was already back in bed. I made sure Shelley and I were bundled up for the weather conditions. Out we went into the blizzard, and it was bad. I wasn't big for my age, but I was an average 13-year-old size. The snow was past my knees, and as we passed through our huge schoolyard, we were on the way to Ted Drew's. About 8 months of the year, they sold frozen custard treats, and at Christmas time, they sold trees. Great trees if you were willing to pay for them. We usually had one of those trees where a side has to be hidden in a corner. I wasn't going to cheap out. I still remember it very clearly decades later. I had started out angry, but very quickly, my sister and I were caught up in the magical beauty of the snowfall. We laughed as I pulled. We definitely had the sensation and mindset of being pioneers, which added an element of excitement. Looking back, if I had evaluated this situation as a normal, sane adult, I probably would have never done it. A 3-mile round trip pulling my sister on a sled. Once at Ted Drew's, I don't think the attendants really believed how far we had come in such weather. Beyond that, I don't think that I had the money to actually pay for a tree, especially when I told them I wanted a 7-foot tree with 0 bare spots. No one else was buying trees. In fact, hardly any cars were on normally busy Grand Avenue in South St. Louis City. When they saw me whip out my money, though, they were falling all over themselves, exclaiming how brave I was. Another declared how sweet I was to pull my sister 1.5 miles on a sled in that weather. One guy asked me, "Where's she going to ride on the way home?" Oh shit, I hadn't even thought of that. An older gentleman must have seen my perplexity, and he took over. He bound that tree as tight as could be done and secured it crosswise to the front of the sled. It wasn't budging. Shelley and I were definitely in that pioneer mode, kind of like the Griswolds going for their tree in Christmas Vacation. On the way back, we stopped several times, and I helped people push a couple of cars away from the curb where they were stuck. Basically, from the end of Scruggs Elementary schoolyard along the maybe 8 or so blocks to our apartment was a general downhill grade. I knew we would get home. Before then, even though I was excited, I wasn't sure if we'd make it. And on top of that, my sister had to pee. She became pretty insistent about her need to tinkle. It was dicey. Should I dump the tree and just make a mad dash for home with Shelley on the sled? Maybe she should just pee on herself. She had before when she laughed really hard. In the end, it all worked out, and my sister and I were proud of our accomplishment. We'd saved Christmas. I think my dad gave me like $5 for the tree. He didn't know how much I had actually spent, which was the better part of my $20 bill. Didn't matter though. In my mind, somewhere deep within, I had overcome an injustice. I had accomplished something significant in the real world. I cared for my sister, and we were closer because of our adventure. That was the first year I put lights on the tree. It was magical for me. I thought it was perfect. Now, although my parents' addiction played into this and initiated my response, I chose then. Why? I don't know, except that my heart was working through all that to help me. And I choose now to view, filter, and experience that time in love. Love in a sense of achievement, accomplishment, and satisfaction. Yes, love was primary, especially for my sister, and in a pity way for my parents. We get to choose, you know, whether we use ego or heart to run our minds and souls. We can use heart to process not only the present, but also the memories. We can use heart to reflect and assign significance and value to life. When we do that, we grow in positivity and love and gratitude. And while it might not be that everything on the way to that destination is all love and light, some of it is hard, and it's facing darkness and facing realities, but processing it and assigning the value to it. We want to get to that end of love and gratitude and positivity, because there is just no percentage in staying in ego energy of being mistreated, of being the victim, of being the one who had everything stacked against them. I'll finish this now. That was a little digression. This Christmas or any holiday you celebrate, please try it. Try love. You will only strengthen all of us who will benefit from the positive life energy of your love. Much peace and love this Christmas Eve. And I wish you love and peace. I don't know when I'll be back here. It may be a little bit, but in the meantime, be assured that I think of you. Those of you who regularly look at these videos, I think of you especially. And I just wish you all the best this holiday season. Whatever holiday you celebrate, it's about knowing, love, and loving others along with yourself. So until next time, love and peace.